welcome everybody. It's a bittersweet. It's our last day and it's the closing session. It's about amplifying music futures, which is all about what we've been discussing in the past 3 days. And today we will be moderating the session, me and Yasmin. My name is Nada Al-Hilabi. I'm a strategy director at MDLBEAST and a program director. We have Yasmin Rasool. She's been like the heart and everything about XP. Woohoo! Like Yasmin, from program design to what? To booking cars and flights.
Call center. Call me. I will sort you out.
And we have with us today, we have Tam Tam, our local star. Rehab and Salvatore Ganacci and Arabian Prince. So as we're closing this session, we want to bring all the great creatives around the world, from local, international, to discuss what the future of music is. What do we need here? How can we collaborate? How can we take this industry to another level, from upcoming to established to, to different kind of genre to discuss this. So I'll hand it over to Yasmin to walk us through the questions.
Okay, amazing. Hi guys, how's everything? So basically, we kind of want to know from your experiences what you can put to the table of how we should go about this in terms of communities, and foundations, and there's so many different kinds of facets of how to actually build a music industry. And I think we'd love to hear from you guys how you think that we should kind of go about this. As this is our first year, this is the time for dialogue, where we're here to have conversations and kind of understand how best to go about this for all the years to come. So, who should we start with? Is it Tam Tam?
Okay. Okay, we're doing ladies first. Okay, so I think there are so many different elements. So one major thing that I think is so important is the team. So really having a community of people and having people to say your ideas to, and to inspire you, and like a team of creatives that are just your friends. And then eventually you need to have your team who have you on the business side as well. So there's just so many aspects, but I think first it's creative. Like, it's all about the creative at first, and you just have to hone yourself as an artist, really discover what you want to say. What do you want to sound like? What do you want your music to say to the world? And that's all creative, and that with a community, with the right people around you to inspire you, to help you get your vision to life creatively, that's the first step, I would say.
Amazing. And that is the most important step as well. I think sometimes people forget that there's a whole system behind someone on stage. Yeah. So then I kind of want to go more towards also the community and how to build the community and what's important for a community in sense of what they need, how they can come together, how your team can be satisfied as well. So, OG.
Yes. So, what I see here in Riyadh is something special. Like, I'm probably the oldest person in the room. And
you're really not, by the way. You have to stop saying that.
I'm old. Leave me alone. Anyway, so, if you look at back in the 80s, I told you I'm old, when we started NWA, right? Like, it was like the new sound in West Coast hip hop. Like, East Coast had their rap, but the West Coast, we were still pop locking and doing electro music. We didn't have an identity yet. So when we came out with NWA and my buddy Ice-T, when we started dropping that sound, it was a birth of a new style of music on the West Coast. I see the same thing happening here. And the most important thing, once you build like a musical journey in a new culture or a new city, is content is king. You gotta create good music. You can't just have a bunch of people creating stuff that's garbage. It's got to be good content. And like she said, community, you got to have the right people, the right tools, and the right infrastructure. So you got to build it. And if you build it right, it will come. So.
Yeah, and then it's all about like filtering that out, because there's just so much means of creating music now. There's just so many different communities that like different genres as well. So I think it also is what types of communities are you kind of reaching out to, but also how then do you filter that out even more to produce good music?
So I'd like to ask Rehab. Rehab was with us since day one, since we started the journey, and we're still like new and developing. So I would like to ask you, like, since we're just starting now, what would you like to, kind of bring, what learnings you would like to bring from your experience to the new youth, to the young here, who would like to consider music as a career?
Sorry, the last sentence?
Who would like to consider music as a career? What would you like to give learnings to the creatives here in Saudi?
I have a little bit of a different philosophy on how to build a career. I think first of all, you should start with yourself, that you need to understand that you are accountable and responsible. And sometimes I see young artists with a lot of talent and they count on management, friends, other colleagues to build their career forward. But I don't think that's the right decision. I feel like always you start with yourself and what you can control. Thank you. Because many times I meet like a talent, and I actually discuss this sometimes with Salvador. There's like this new, for example, super talented kid. He's doing it the right way, and then he gets a team, and it goes wrong. Because then they focus on things that are irrelevant. I feel like you should always work for yourself, get to a level, and then build your team very, very, very slowly. And once you have control over everything and you know what you're doing, you also understand it for a later trajectory of your career. Because I feel like I did a lot of things myself early on the career, from accounting to releasing to marketing and that helped me a lot for later to understand when I hire people or agencies to actually understand if they're doing a good job or not a good job. So I prefer to be in control, but this is me. This helps for my personality. I don't think it helps for some personalities that are like uber creative. I feel like I balance in between business and creativity, if that makes sense. But this is a mistake that I many times seen. Like, yeah, I told my manager to submit it to the DSPs, to YouTube, Spotify, but he forgot. I said, so you're gonna make the record and then you're gonna have someone else take that control? I was like, you should double check, if that makes sense. So that's my biggest lesson.
Amazing. Yeah. It's like a CEO of a company, right?
You are the brand.
If you want to be a CEO, you have to know a bit of every function in the company, which is to be successful, right?
And maybe that works. Like, I think there's a lot of good companies who do that phenomenally. Let's say the K-pop companies, where companies build an entire brand together. But these people have been doing it for a very long time, so they understand from A to Z. But let's say for me as a DJ producer, there's a lot of things you can do yourself and be very strategic and smart with your time, which I see a lot of people not doing. They're just hiring people to hire, and then, yeah.
You're right. Salvatore, I would like to ask you, you're always creative and your shows are always like, impressive. So I want to ask you, what's your secret to remain creative?
Hi guys, how are you? Actually, I don't have an answer for that. I'm probably the worst guy to have in this panel because it's not like it's an easy answer. I mean, just be what you believe is right. Do it. If it pops off, it pops off. If it doesn't, you're gonna have a fun ride.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna speak for Salvatore over here because I'm like one of his biggest fans. I just told him earlier, like, dude, like I saw him like when he first started DJing. I was just at Wonderland, one of those things, and he was early in the day, like really early, right? And he got up there and just like lit the place up. I'm like, who is this dude? And I was telling my boy, I'm like, this kid right here is fire. Like, he's got a whole different style that he's bringing to EDM and to these festivals. He's like a breath of fresh air. So his talent is him. Like, he don't need nobody to help him because this dude right here is just flowing with talent. And yeah, you need to speak on that because you are.
Thank you.
For me, you know, I'm pretty good friends, and you know, we don't make music together, but we're good friends. But I look at the career a little bit of him in the perspective of like, I think dance music has a lot of terrible videos, very bad music videos, bad directing, etc., etc. And he was like one of the few electronic artists that took charge of making a really good video and directing. And I think you directed, co-directed, or wrote, co-wrote, and was really the star in the video, and the song actually matches the video, which there's a big disconnect in dance music that, I mean, even with my songs, yeah, you know what.
For me, it's fun to have something like when people have to think maybe an extra thought, like, oh man, this is fun. But there is something else that's underneath, you know, that's like, maybe he has something to say. Or if I look beyond that funny thing, there's something that's more meaningful. So those are the kind of things I play with a lot, which is fun.
Yeah, as you said, just do it, right? If you think you want to do it and you think it's the right thing, just do it. And I think that's the best tip.
Yeah, I wanted to throw in. So how do you guys keep yourself grounded with all of this? Because you got a lot of noise around you. You got a lot of people telling you what to do, how to do, when to do. So how do you keep yourself locked into being pure to who you are?
I don't listen. Generally, I don't listen.
I think that's a good thing, isn't it? You're the creative.
Yeah, yeah. I think I know what I want, and then they can, you know, convince me with data, and then I'll maybe change my mind. But yeah, because I always feel like when you do it yourself, from yourself, you're gonna go the extra mile. If you're doing it for someone else, it's always like, do you really want to go that extra work, you know? Imagine someone said, like, you have to do this. It's like,
But for sure, they tell you all the time, like, this is what you should do, and this is, what about this, and what about this, and like, showing you all the different kind of colors.
The biggest like release of my heart within my stuff that I'm doing was when I was like, I'm not going to listen to anyone anymore. Just do whatever you want. And if it goes, it goes. At least I'm going to be happy when I'm going to bed.
Exactly.
And then after that, it started to like...
Of course, you have to listen to some situation when you're a lawyer or...
Yeah, don't break the law.
Yeah, a lawyer or like the accountant says, you know, when it's data, but when it's creative, don't listen.
I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think if you make like let's say a creative piece or music, and if you're happy with it, people will be happy with it, and it shows, right? It's like your audience is a reflection of you.
So I just want to add one thing about like how to stay grounded. I feel like, first of all, if you're true to yourself, you're always going to be grounded, you know, just looking within. And for me, I'm spiritual, very spiritual. So like meditating or, you know, whatever is good for you to feed that, it always keeps you grounded, you know, praying, meditating, whatever that may be.
And then she's over there looking at me now like, all right, what about you? Okay, fine. For me, there's three things I learned, and I actually told Tam Tam earlier too. One was to just treat everybody else better than you. That's how you stay grounded. If I treat you really, really nice, then you'll treat me nice, and we good, right? The second thing is I sat down with the purple one day, Prince, at Paisley Park, and he told me two things. He said, all you do to be successful is entertain and educate. That's it. That's what you do when you get on stage. You entertain people, but educate them at the same time. And if you do those two things, you'll always be successful, and that keeps me grounded.
Amazing. So I would like to ask a question about the future. Let's say we are in 2040, right? What would you like to see in the music industry that is different now? Who would like to start? Arabian Prince.
2014. Let me see. We still got vinyl, CDs. You know what? I would really like to see more. Oh, I got it. No more music streaming, so I can get my royalties back. Serious. That paying me 0.0000.2% of every stream. Like, get rid of music streaming. Give all of these DJs and artists the money that they deserve for every play, and that's what I wish would go back to normal.
Good one. Tam Tam?
Honestly, I was gonna say that. Like, I really was gonna say that. But also, I guess, I feel like nowadays a lot of like labels and people, managers or whatever, when they're looking for an artist, they look at the numbers and they're like, oh yeah, let's see how many followers they have, let's see how many streams they have, and that's how they judge, and it's because it makes their job easier. I get it, but at the same time, I feel like there's so much talent and they don't have the numbers because, I mean, I know what Rehab was saying, like you have to find your audience and do a lot of the work, and I agree. But at the same time, like there's so much talent out there who maybe they don't have the right, they don't have the right formula yet to find their audience, to target their audience, because at the end of the day, as a talent, you are your own audience, so you know that there are people out there for you. You have an audience, you just have to find them. And so I just wish like people could start looking at talent again, and that's how they judge the artist, based on their talent, not based on the numbers.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, I don't have much to add. I think there's a balance in it though, because sometimes when someone is too talented, it's almost like sports, right? If you're very talented, you don't go to practice, if that makes sense. And that becomes a problem later in the career because you're basing your career off talent. And I think that should be a very well balanced, if that makes sense. Because sometimes for example, let's say, imagine you're a manager and you find a super talented person, but this person can just not communicate clearly or can do, you can make a plan with, or is unreliable, misses all the deadlines, misses every opportunity they get. It's very difficult for the management. So I feel like sometimes I can understand management. They're looking at that balance, like, okay, this person has built something for himself, so I know she or he understands that they can grow more. Does that make a little bit of sense what I'm trying to say?
Definitely, yeah. It's all about moderation and
yeah. I mean, when you look at Billie Eilish, she was signed very early on, and she was very creative early on in her career, and then, they kept building her. And of course, she's super talented, but she also knew what she was doing, and I think you have to have the balance of both.
Yeah, totally.
It's also like finding a good manager.
Yeah, of course. It's always a problem finding a good manager. I think, with management is always interesting, right? Because sometimes an artist comes up together with a manager. Let's say, I like to say this, I say this sometimes in my team. I get like, and you should work like we are broke, like we have no money and no budget and nothing. Come with creative ideas. That's how a manager operates when he has signed a new act and he's broke himself and he has no money. He's gonna be super creative. Then when the artist has a big, let's say, he has an A-star artist and he wants to sign new acts, it becomes, look at me, I have this superstar. But is he gonna work like he works for that superstar in the beginning? If that makes a little bit of sense.
Yeah, for sure. It's a portfolio at the end of the day.
Yeah, and when you are like hungry, determination and grit, you achieve way more.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Amazing. 2 days ago, we had one of our speakers who her daughter was, I think, 10 years old, so her daughter wanted to be a DJ and an astronaut. And her mom said, basically, you have to choose. She was like, Mama, I can play in space after, 10 years. So I think, yeah, that's the future. So I have a question. If we here, like us as MDLBEAST, we're amplifying the unseen. We have a lot of I would say, a lot of talent here in Saudi that has not been either like the opportunity to play or have not been seen, and this is basically where our mission is. If I get to ask you, like, as you know, as an artist, what would you like to be, supported with? I'll start with Tam Tam.
Like, think about it like when you first started. Like, go way back to the beginning and think, okay, if you didn't have any of the tools that you have right now, what would you kind of give to people to kind of say, like, this is the right way to do it?
This is a tough one because there's so much. But I guess, like, nowadays, it's really easy to have, like, recording equipment, I would say. Like, to record your own music and work with people and, find the right producers that you get along with and work with them. I mean, you can set up a studio in your room and, you're all good. So I would say something that I think is, it's tough, like, it's really hard for me to answer because I would answer based on my own experiences and everyone's different. So me I would say, like, I wish that when I first started doing music, when I first started performing live, I had a full band. And I think I did it completely wrong. Like, I wish I just started performing with tracks because it makes you really focus on how you're going to perform, how you're going to do. You don't rely on the people around you. You don't rely on the guitar player. Like, you have to perform in front of the people. You have to be entertaining, And so that helped me a lot when I started, like, when I was like, I'm bigger now, but now I'm gonna do some shows with tracks so that I can really focus on my performance. That helped a lot. So I just think, like, as an artist, you can do so much. Like, you can find your way no matter what, but I guess having the right environment, like the right places to perform, like the right environments to perform, the right venues, like cool places where people gather, because I think performing is the best way to connect to people and to start growing your audience as a pop artist. That's what I would say.
Thank you. Who would like to go?
But there is so much pressure.
I was listening to her.
Who would like to go next?
No, we're still on you. So basically, what would you say? Like, let's say you just started. What kind of tools would you suggest for a young artist to start focusing on? Like, what would you say? Like, this is what you need to kind of get to the right way. All your experiences and all the trials and errors that you went through.
Well, create your own path. Like, everyone was telling me, like, no, you can't do that. You have to have a sound. You have to have this. You have to have that style. You have to have that. And then I was like consistent and was like, no, I just want to do whatever comes to my mind. And then it didn't work. And then it worked. So maybe it works or maybe it doesn't, but hopefully it works. At
so
least
it's trial and error, basically.
Yeah. Just like do your thing and try to create your own path. But it's going to go like all over.
And try to cut the noise.
And hopefully you don't find one, how would I say? Like every new project I have or whatever comes to my mind, I go back to the kid me and like, oh, okay, how do you do this? And find new tools to do this thing. I think that's important for me, at least, to be like, oh yeah, how does this work and stuff. Yeah.
To make sure that to always be playful at the end of the day. Yeah. Rehab, Arabian.
So the question is?
Okay, so the formula of when you start, fresh, you have nothing. You just
I understand the question. I think it would be nice as a young career that it would be more on the school system, that they would have better music. I think in Sweden that's pretty big, right? That because that's why the Swedish people are so good in music.
Yeah, and the weather maybe, because everybody's inside.
The weather, yeah. No, but like a school, that there's some competition, because I think competitiveness is very good. I think the Dutch DJs excelled because there was a lot of competition, like, for example, Tiesto's from my city, and my city's only 100,000 people. Hardwell and me went to the same high school, which former #1 DJ. So that makes
Abba is from my city.
Who?
Abba.
Who? Abba.
Yeah.
See, that's what I mean, you know. No, but it helps, you know, because it gives you inspiration that.
You have someone to look up to and see that it's not impossible.
Yeah, and that's when there's competition in the field, and I mean good competition because I like competition. Like it's nice, competitive. It also raises up the level. So like when I grew up as a teenager, you had like Afrojack, Hardwell, Nicky Romero, all these guys that are like sort of like top 20 DJs in the world. Yeah, if they can do it, why not me? So, and I think if that culture starts to grow inside of a country, the level will go up. I think it's a simple thing, like when you run 100 meters, if you're the fastest, you don't become as fast as, you don't increase your speed much quicker if everyone is faster than you. I hope that makes a little sense.
Actually makes sense.
So like, the competition is important, I think, and it will help if the school system, you know, you have like, let's say, there's 100,000 people going in a city or like in a big city going to school. I mean, 100,000 people like doing extra, what's it called? Extra lessons in music.
Yep.
You're gonna have like 10, 20 people that are gonna be really, really good. And there's gonna be one that's amazing. And that's gonna lift everyone up.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I always say like it's not great to be #1 because #2 is way better because you're seeing all the things that went wrong. So you can learn as much as you can and be like, it's okay, you can take that.
It's also that thing of the world record, right? When the world record gets broken, then all of a sudden it didn't get broken for 10 years. And then all of a sudden it gets broken 10 times in 1 year, or, for example.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I say persistence because I'll tell a quick story. When I was young, I made my first record when I was 16 years old. I was a DJ at 15. I'm an only child. My mom's was very overprotective. She wouldn't let me go to parties, but I was really smart. I figured if she won't let me go to a party, I'll become a DJ. I'm the first at the party and the last one to leave. So, and I get paid, so it's a job. So I was able to go to the parties. But like you said, Rehab, my boy, Egyptian Lover, he's another old school DJ performer from back in the day. I looked up to him. We lived in the same neighborhood. Yeah, and he had an 808 drum machine. And I would go by his house and play with his drum machine. And one day he told me in Egypt's voice, yeah, we gonna go make a record. What? Yeah, Uncle Jim's Army, we gonna make a record. So I went with them to the studio and they made a record. And then my buddy Dr. Dre at the time was with the World Class Wrecking Crew, and they said the same thing. We're going to make a record. But I wasn't down with either one of the crews. I was friends, and they came back with their vinyl and their records, and I'm like, I want to make a record. So I
You feel motivated.
Yeah. So I saved $500, but I found out I needed more. So I asked the dude I worked for, and he gave me another $500. I went in the recording studio and made a record. I didn't know what I was doing, but I made a record and it got on the radio. And, you know, fast forward years later, we're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because of Egyptian Lover's motivation of me like, oh, I want to do what he's doing. And that's what you need, motivation. And you kids now, or you people here, anybody who wants to get in the music business, you got a blueprint now. You got all of these people up here. You got YouTube. You got all of these blueprints. Find that style or that what feels good to you and follow that blueprint.
Yeah, I totally agree. You know.
Oh, that's really good points. Like that's something that we should start working with.
#2, huh?
I love #2.
Yeah, but
my
you cannot
God.
say that to your kids.
No, always #2.
But there's no #1 in music, you know, if that makes sense.
Can you?
Whoa. What are you talking about?
You know, music is not like boxing. In boxing, you can be #1. You win, and you get the title. I mean, who sells more doesn't mean he's better or whatever. So I don't believe in music. You know, that's why I also did like
Really good point.
top 20. Like, it's sort of like, okay, a little bit, you know, but that doesn't matter, you know.
That's really good point.
So I think that's also competitiveness is good, but you cannot be #1. Of course, you know.
you can only compete with yourself.
Yeah. Hey, I've been waiting for you to turn up, sir.
You just needed to warm up, huh?
I haven't played for 2 years. I'm just getting warmed up.
Tamara went, Tam left because
No,
her
I
throat
think
left her.
There was like dust in my throat or something. I'm from Riyadh. Like, how am I not used to the weather? Like, I don't get it. I'm never gonna get used to it. But what did I miss?
So much.
There is no number one in music.
No, I heard that part.
Yeah.
And there was like so many other stories that happened, but next
I hope
question.
it's filmed. I hope this was filmed.
Wait a minute. You guys having fun yet? All right, just checking.